Yo, family, what you telling me?
The transfer window's done. Championship teams have spent a total of 262 million euros this summer, with an income of 509 million, largely made up by Leeds. There's a lot of big teams at Championship, you know. There's a lot of money flying about. It's a major league. We're going to go through each team's transfers and rank them all on a tier list, because I love a good tier list. The categories are honking Puna for the worst one, balls, bang average, you're doing great, and the good. We'll go in alphabeticals and just work it out as we go along. So we'll start with Blackburn. Oh, the major signing or transfer-wise thing for Blackburn this summer, obviously going to be Sammy Smodics. But they almost knew they were going to lose him regardless. There were no world in which they were going to be able to keep him. So to get a big fee for the fellow who's got, I think he had a year left on his contract, 10 million quid up front, it's good business that. I don't think they can shy away from that at all. It's a good business. But losing Sam Gallagher as well, it's a lot of goals that they've lost. Even though they've started quite well, it is a lot of goals that they have lost outgoing-wise. Obviously, Smodics were top goal scorer in league for number 10. And then the players that they've brought in, Todd Cantwell, I think, is a really good signing, value for money-wise. He's going to be on a fair whack, in his wage is going to be high. And then obviously these two fellas, I just literally cannot speak about Marvin Gaye or Balaz Toff. But Andrew Weierman from Bristol City is a really good in. Overall, I think all things considered, because they knew they were going to lose him, didn't they? They knew they were going to lose Smodics. I like the incomings that I know of, like Todd Cantwell and Weierman. I think that's bang average. I think they've done effectively what's expected and got good money for the player that they've lost. And the players in are quite good. I'm happy with that. I think that's a decent-ish window for Blackburn, but it's not good enough to be in that you're doing great. But it's all right. Bristol City next. Obviously, Scott Twine in from Burnley. If they could get him to anything like he was at MK Dons before he originally went, then they've got a serious player on their hands, haven't they? It's just about trying to change his fortunes a little bit, because he's had a couple loans now that haven't really worked out, or he's done that well. A 3 million quid buy for him, and he's still only 25. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience now in a lot of different environments. If they can get a tune out of him, that is a bargain. That is a serious bargain. So I like that. I like Sinclair Armstrong. I like Marcus McGuinn from Oxford. Luke McNally's good. They're really good incomings these. I'm really impressed. They've gone for it a little bit, because they spent 10 million quid. They did get 5 million quid for Tommy Conway, which again is a really good sell. So I think overall, Bristol City here have had a really good window, to a point where I'm going to say that you're doing great. No starts today, run today. No starts today, run today. Next up, I don't even know where to start with this. There is so much going on with Burnley, it's ridiculous. They've spent 50 million quid, which you might think like, oh my God, wow. But they've also brought in 100. So there's 60 million pound in the up. And people always say, oh, if you're doing what Burnley have done, where you're going up and buying loads of players, or maybe what Ipswich have done this time, then you're guaranteed to go and win Championship season after. No, you're not, because a lot of players that they've bought from this season, from going up to Premier League, have all left. They don't want to play in Championship. The reason they signed for Burnley in first place is to play in Premier League. So they're going to jump ship to go to an Ipswich. They've lost a lot of players, and a lot of the best ones as well. It's not I don't think he's one of the best players, but it's a big fee for that one. I like that one. Sander Burgess was arguably the best player that's gone to Fulham. Darrow O'Shea's a good player. Muric in net, good keeper as well. There's a lot that's gone. It's a lot of change all at once, which might bite him in the ass a little bit. And then as far as some of their incomings are concerned, I know this is Stevie is from Montpellier. He's still young as well. I didn't realise they were that young. I thought he was a bit older than that. That's a good buy. Anil Medri is a good buy. Zian Fleming on loan with an obligation to buy from Millwall is a good buy. Jaden Anthony on loan is a good loan. They've replaced the keeper. Them and Ipswich have just done a keeper swap, but Burnley got 8 million quid on top of it. So I think their ins are quite good, but it's just so much of a mess, and there's so much going on, and they've lost a lot of the players that they invested in first place, which got them relegated from Premier League. I think it's balls. I'd say that's fair. I think it's balls for Burnley. Cardiff. Some of their incomings, I have absolutely no idea who they are. Jesper Dalland, nope. Roko Simic, nope. Obviously, I know Will Fisher and Alex Robinson's a really good buy. That is a good player. That's a good one. Chris Willett from QPR is a really good free. Callum Chambers just screams Cardiff, to be honest, in Championship. They always go for like players that they've got experience at big clubs but are just completely dog-ass. So that don't surprise me at all, them getting him in. And then for the sales, obviously, Ebbo Adams to Derby, I think they could have maybe kept him as a squaddy, because he's a good player. But getting 10 million quid up front, I think it was, for Mark McGuinness, is really good business. Don't get me wrong, he's a good centre-half, he's a great centre-half. But they have had Luton's pants down a little bit, because I think Luton are just getting desperate, and Luton trying to drag a player from one team in Championship to them. They're going to have to pay over odds. So I think it's a really good sale, that. Overall, I'm quite impressed with this from Cardiff, to be honest. It's definitely you're doing great. They're not the good, but they are doing great. Coventry next. I'm really unimpressed, to be honest. because I think they can do a lot more. They've got so much money. I know they spent 15 million quid here and their income is zero. Or it's going to be minimal in it. They've sold Casey Palmer, might have got them for question mark amount. So they're going to have brought in some money. But they spent £15 million. They've obviously, I think they've probably stretched the budget from when they originally sold Hamer and Gyökeres now. There will eventually be getting an extra 20 million quid from the Gyökeres sell-on when he goes for 100 million quid wherever he goes because of the sell-on that they've got. I think it's 20%. But they need to focus on quality rather than bringing in just loads of players at once. Like they've brought in another goalie, another centre-half. Do you know what I mean? They keep changing the defense, especially the defense. They keep changing the defensive positions that they've got. And they're going to keep conceding goals because of it, because it is never settled. They've changed the keeper and the back too, mainly, because it was Brad Collins, Liam Kitchen and Bobby Thomas that were the core at the back. That is now changed completely. It's 3 new lads that's there. So it's a lot of change all at once. Obviously, Callum O'Hare going on a free. They couldn't really do anything about that anyway, could they, to be honest? But it's a shame to lose somebody who's that good on a free. Jack Radoni I quite like as a buy, but Thomas Asante, I don't know about that. Lewis Binks is alright, but again, it's just another change at centre-half department. I don't know. I think they can do a lot more. They've not lost any of the best players. They've kept Ben Sheaves, they've kept Hadji Wright, all them type of boys. So it's definitely not balls. But it's just, I just expect more from him because I'm thinking that Coventry should be pushing for autos in a league that's quite weak this year, especially near top. Like, who is there that looks like really, really good, apart from maybe Leeds just because of squad they've got. Burnley have sold all the players effectively. Both are teams that's come down, Sheffield United and Luton, in a worse position. So it's a shame that they've not gone for it a little bit more spending wise and quality wise. But I'd say it's bang average what Coventry have done this window. Derby up next. I have no idea who Jacob Vidal Zetterstrom is. Not got a clue. Ebbo Adams I think is a really good buy. Caden Jackson I quite like. Corey Blackett-Taylor I quite like. Ben Osborne I like. Nat Phillips on a loan from Liverpool. Marcus Harness on a loan from Ipswich. I think they've packed the squad out quite well depth-wise. Obviously, there's no crazy starters coming in, apart from Ebbo Adams and the other two that I don't know about from different countries. But there's nothing that's coming here like, oh my god, humongous signing, wow, what a coup. But the squad is good, and they've not lost any of the best players. They've not lost Cashin, you know what I mean? They've not lost Mendes, Lang, them type of boys. They've lost a lot of experience that they had, and maybe depth at middle, because they lost Corey Smith to Cambridge, they lost Lewis Sibley to Oxford, and they lost Urian back to Reds. They've lost a lot in middle, especially experience-wise. Overall, I think this is a good window because they've not lost the best players. And when you want it, well, not smaller, I'm saying that wrong. When you want other worse teams that's just come up, obviously, they've not got the finances that championship teams that have just been in here non-stop have got now. Derby went down and come back up, so they're going to be in a worse position financially than some of these other teams. But to keep the better players, I think is quite good. I'm putting them in, you're doing great. Oh! They absolutely shit the bed last season, all because they spent all that money on loans and wages and loan fees and stuff like that for players that aren't even theirs, for them to not even get in playoffs. So they really did miss the chance, and they spent a lot of the Keane Lewis Potter money and stuff like that. I don't know how much they'll actually have left of that. And speaking of big sales, they've obviously lost Jacob Greaves and Philogene for about 35 million quid. It's a lot of money for a championship team. But it's also the best two players by an absolute landslide that has now gone. Not to mention the loans that they had, like Carvalho, that's obviously not there anymore. They've let Aaron Connolly go on a free. And for their incomings, Cody Drama from Leeds is good if they can get him playing. Abul Kamara from Norwich is really, really good. He's mint. When he was at Portsmouth last season, he was a top player. Some of these, obviously, I ain't got a clue about. I've heard of Liam Miller before. Were he from Liverpool or something? I can't. I recognise that name. I can't remember where he's from though. Charlie Hughes from Wigan. Very, very good signing. As far as a Jacob Greaves replacement goes, you probably couldn't have got a better one than Charlie Hughes, to be honest, and value for money. Ryan Giles from Luton is a good one as well. No idea about this bloke. But the fact that the loans aren't as good as last season as well. They've lost the best two players, even though they did get a lot of money for them. And the replacements are quite good to an extent that I know of, especially the Charlie Hughes one. But they're in a much worse position this time than they are last. So you can't say that it's good, can you? You just cannot say that. Leeds. Right, time for biggest team in universe, Leeds. Let's just start with their outgoings because there's so many. Reuter, gone. Archie Gray, gone. Somerville, gone. That's the 3 best players from last season. That's also a best player in the league, gone from last season in Somerville. Not to mention Glenn Kamara, that played a lot of games. They lost Ian Pervada on a free, who, to be honest, he had a really good season at Sheffield Wednesday, and he could have been a good squad player there, so they lost him as well. Jamie Shackleton, gone. Cody Drama, gone. A lot of players have gone that could have been good squad players as well. And yeah, they have got 160 million quid for it, right? That's fantastic. But they've spent niche. They brought Joe Rodon in, who's a good signing. I'll give him that one. Good signing. No idea about this fella from Almeria. Jayden Bogle, I think they've had the pants pulled down with 5 million quid up front for Jayden Bogle. He's a good right back, don't get me wrong, but 5 million quid for a guy that had 1 year left on his contract and just conceded 7,000 goals in Premier League. I don't know about that one. Obviously, Tanaka and Isaac Schmidt, I can't speak about, can I? I'm not going to talk about players that I've never actually seen with my own two eyes, or I can't remember watching. They might have played against Wednesday, I can't remember. But I do not have an opinion on these boys because I've not seen them. The things that I do know is that Leeds owners have pocketed about 100 million quid and they've run off into hills laughing their heads off. And I can't blame them because I'd do the same thing. This window from Leeds is an absolute honking pooner. I'll tell you what, there could potentially be one worse, but this is one of the worst transfer windows ever. I'd be physically sick if we had made them sort of sales and spent very little to replace them. Obviously, they're going to have a big wage bill, aren't they, and stuff like that. So, balancing books and stuff like that with a relegation and then not going up with a squad that's worth that much and it's going to be draining the club balance that much, fair enough. But I think it's horrendous that Barnes' owner have made like £12 million in sales in League One in the last 2 years and spent £1 million. Near man making £160 million worth of sales in about 5 weeks and spending 30. That is shocking. So they are definitely a honking pooner, and they are definitely joined by Luton Town. I'm just sticking them in there right now because this is equally as bad. Ogbene gone, Barkley gone, Ryan Giles gone, Osho gone. That's 4 players that were playing a lot realistically for him in Premier League. They didn't even really spend loads in Premier League to begin with. I understand that they'll have hiked the wages that were in there for players that were there and players that they've managed to keep, especially since coming down like your Morrison, Adebayo, which I will come to in a minute because that's a good point that they've kept them players. But they spent very little when they went up. So they've got the Premier League money, they've got the parachute money, and they've spent what? They've made a profit. They have made a profit of 4 million quid. Where is the money? Why have they not gone for it a bit more? Because I like the Baptiste signing from Brentford, and I like Liam Walsh from Swansea, to be honest with you. This Real Walters obviously is a kid. And Mark McGuinness for £10 million up front is a good centre-half, like I was saying when we were talking about Cardiff. But £10 million is mental. That is absolutely mental, the amount of money that they've paid Cardiff for him. Especially when you look at this centre-half that Burnley have got. I can't even say it. Maximus Steve, whatever his name is, from Montpellier. But same price. I don't know. I feel like they've had a big, major boo-boo Luton this transfer window. They've not gone for it enough. This is a really good chance to just bounce straight back up. If you don't want your parachute payment seasons to just run out on you. And it's a really, good chance for them to try and bounce straight back up. And I do not think they've took it at all. And I really thought they would. I really thought they'd throw a bit of money at it and try. Obviously, keeping Morris, Adebayo, Chong, Alfie Doughty is good. But they've not adequately replaced the midfield loss at all. They've got nothing provided. And Barkley's gone. Marvellous Nakamba's still injured. They've not brought enough in. Regardless of the fact that Baptiste and Liam Walsh have come in. That's such a humongous drop-off. I don't know. They should have done more, and I'm not impressed with it because they're on my bet to win league, so I'm very unimpressed. As for Middlesbrough, who've they lost? Nobody really. Well, nobody important anyway at all. Okay. Incoming is Tommy Conway from Bristol City. It's a lot really, but he's still young. I'm all right with that. Mike Hamilton from Man City is a good one. Ben Doak on loan. Luke Ayling on a free. George Emerson on loan as well from Ipswich, who just got promoted to Prem. I'm happy with that, mate. I'd be happy with that if I were a Middlesbrough fan as well. I'm putting that straight in. You're doing great. I don't think that needs much else saying about it. Next up, right, we'll address the main one straight away because Zian Fleming has gone to Burnley on loan with obligation to buy. I think it was rumoured to be about 6 million quid, the obligation, which when they were turning down bids, I'm sure they turned it down from Burnley last season when they were in Prem for about 12. So it's a bit smelly, really, that they're going to let the best player go for that. But this lad that they brought in, this is Millwall's record signing, Mihailo Ivanovic, who's 19, a striker from Vojvodina. Not got a clue, but he's 3 million quid, so I'm backing him. Femi Aziz, I think, is a good signing from Reading, but then I also saw people calling him Femi Disease when he was playing because he's apparently been crap so far. So that'll come with time. He's only 23, innit? Langstaff has got about 100 goals in 3 seasons for Notts County, so that'll come good as well. I don't think Neil Harris rates him that much because he's gone for this other lad as well. And he's not been starting him as much, I don't think. Obviously, Tanganga on a free. Is this from this season? Is Tanganga this season? I know they had him on loan. Yeah, it is. What am I on about? But I like Josh Coburn on loan as well from Middlesbrough. I wanted Barnsley to go him, to be honest with you. Overall, I think they've probably spent what they've been given for the Fleming transfer. The Fleming one's really making me want to put him in average, but because it's Millwall, I'm putting him in. You're doing great. Norwich, obviously, they've lost Gabriel Serrat to Galatasaray for 18 million. Adam Ida to Celtic for 10. This Solis, I forgot he was even there, to be honest. I genuinely forgot he was there. That's a decent transfer as well to get rid of. Sam McCallum, a decent left-back's gone on a free. Obviously, they let Abu Kamara go to Hull as well. I don't know what the fee is for that, but I imagine it's a good one because he's a really good player. And then they've brought in all these lads I ain't got a clue at top. Slimani from Sheffield United's absolutely wank, so I don't know about that one. Callum Doyle's a good loan, though. That's a really good loan. Overall, I think that's balls, man. that is not a good win of that. They've got a lot of money in there. And obviously, I can't comment on these fellas, the lads that they've spent money on, so I can't say anything about that yet, and that it's a waste of money, can I? But for the lads that I actually know of, I'm not that impressed with that. Oxford. Right, here we go. Peter Chiozo from Rotherham, he were on loan at Peterborough last season. Very good right back. Rotherham couldn't get a tune out of him for some reason, but Oxford will. Really good player. El Mazzuni from Ipswich for 500 grand or 400 grand. Bargain. Even if he doesn't even play, to have that as a squad option for how good he's been at Leyton Orient last 2 seasons while he's been on loan. Very, very good signing. Lewis Sibley, good signing. Let me keep going. Jamie Cummins, I think, is a good signing. Matt Phillips on a free, good, a lot of experience there. Will Vauxhall from Wednesday, arguably one of Wednesday's best players last season on a free again. Really, really good signing. Sariki Dembele from Birmingham, brilliant signing. Dane Scarlett on loan, Ben Nelson on loan, Abiui from Palace on loan. Really, really, really good incomings these. And especially when you look at their outgoings and see that they've lost effectively nobody of real importance. Like Josh Murphy's gone to Portsmouth. But the money that Portsmouth will be paying him will be a lot more than what Oxford wanted to. And they've managed to reinvest that into better players regardless. And they've kept Cameron Brannigan, which was the main thing. The fact that they've managed to keep him and give him a new contract is just an instant good. I know that's old badge. I've not made this. But unbelievable transfer window across board. Really, really good. Showing proper ambition. And even though they've got 3 stands in a car park, they're going to be a championship team next season and the season after that. Plymouth next. No idea who that is. Grimshaw, a keeper from Blackpool, to obviously replace Michael Cooper, is alright. To be honest, it's a lot of money that, in all honesty. But other than that, they've done very little. Michael Obafemi on a loan is quite a good one. The ouch is the main talking point for me here. And I'm not bothered about any of these, apart from Michael Cooper going for £2 million. It's sad. That is honestly so sad, because he's one of the best keepers in this league. Honestly, he's minimum a playoff level keeper in Championship. He were a minimum playoff level Championship keeper when he were in League One with him. So to lose him for £2 million, I know he only had a year left on his contract, but I would have rather have just kept him and let him go for naught at your chance of staying in league, because him and Morgan Whittaker are by and large Plymouth's best 2 players, and they've now got rid of one of them. The only reason that I'm not giving these a honking puna is because they've kept Morgan Whittaker, which I'm really surprised at. But again, he is the one sliver of hope that they have got to stay in this league. So if they'd lost him, they'd have been on a level below honking puna. But the fact that they've kept him, I think it's a good win. Even though they've lost Michael Cooper, if they'd have kept both of them, they'd have been at GOAT category, because they are the chance. But the fact that they've lost him, I won't have to knock him down, and keeping Morgan Whittaker has kept him from being a hell of a lot lower. But I still think they're going down regardless, because they've got Rooney as manager, do you know what I mean? And the football's crap, and the rest of the squad's quite shit as well. But overall, I think it's a good window for Plymouth. Pompey up next. Freddie Potts on loan from West Ham, I quite like. Jordan Williams on a free is good business. He's the only one that we let go that I wanted us to keep, because I think he's a really, really good right back. Jordan Williams is solid. Josh Murphy, like I said, it was a good player for Oxford. I think they probably will have offered him a fair whack there, which they might regret. Dazelle from QPR I quite like. Matt Ritchie I quite like. None of these I can comment on. And they've lost no one of great importance. They could have maybe kept Rafferty or Raggett, because they've both gone to Rotherham, and they were both players that played a lot in the promotion season. Overall, I think this is a decent window for Portsmouth as well. I think they've done well there. Just packing out squad in certain places. Obviously, when they were in January last season, they had a lot of injuries, so they were buying a lot of players then for what they'd eventually need. So they were never going to spend loads and loads of money in Championship anyway, because they spent that much last year. It's a good window. Preston, not got a clue. Sam Greenwood on loan, I quite like. Josh Bowler on loan, I quite like at Forest, because before I went to Forest, they were good in Championship, him, wasn't he? He were really, really good. It's just gone a bit sour in the last couple of years for him. He's not got a lot of game time. This is maybe his chance to really, really get going again, which is it's a good place for him to do it at Preston. But they have lost Alan Brown on a free to Sunderland, who is the best player by an absolute mile. He's one of the best players I've seen for Preston in my lifetime anyway. And to lose him on a free and get nothing for him, I think is really tough, and for that reason they're going in balls. And also the fact that they gave Ryan Lowe the full transfer window, the full summer, to bring his signings in, for them to both agreed that mutually they didn't want to be there anymore and get rid of him anyway after one game. So what a waste of time that was. And overall, that could really bite him in dick this summer. And when you let your best player go on a free, you're replacing him with loans, and you're changing your manager after one game in a really tough league. That could be a fatal shot with your own gun, that one. Next I've got QPR. I cannot speak about one person that they've brought in. Not one. Because I haven't got a clue who any of them are. Not even loans. Literally, I've got nothing for you. But they've lost Sinclair Armstrong to Bristol City. They've lost I think getting rid of Lyndon Dykes is quite a good thing, to be honest, because I think he's shit. But a lot of the frees that they've lost, like Dazelle, Chris Willock going to Cardiff, obviously. Begovic going. Because I can't speak on their incomings, I'm just going to say it's average. But I think their outgoings have lost a lot of squad players. And obviously they brought these lads in, so what am I on about? It's average. Next up, Sheffield United. This is the big one. Because the incomings that they've got are really, really good. Some of them. Harrison Burrows, really good. Michael Cooper, like I've said about Plymouth, the keeper, really, really good. Keeper Moore, he started alright-ish. He's going to be on a lot of money for a long time. I feel like that one eventually be something we come back to and be like, what are you doing there? But some of the squaddies that they brought in, I mean, Callum O'Hare's a really good one as well. He's going to start most of the time. Sam McCallum's a good backup. So is Jamie Shackleton. So is Tyrese Campbell, to be honest. Raksaki on loan's really good. So is Harry Suter. Obviously, these aren't signings, but bringing up like Peck and players like that from academy. I mean, Peck's definitely good enough to probably be a squaddie, but rest of them, not quite. And then their outgoings, I'm looking for him. Listen, he's not there. How have they kept him? How have they kept that guy? They got rid of Slimani on a loan, which is good because he's shit. They've lost a lot of squad players, which is a bad thing that I'm going to come talk about in a minute. But they've kept him. They've kept Anil Dave, which I won't be that bothered about that one anyway. They've kept Vinny Souza, who had a massive attitude problem last season, but now is God's gift. Classic. We're a Sheffield team and how fickle the fans are. And they've kept Arblasser, which were a big one that got a lot of traction at the end because Brighton looked like they were going to come swooping in for him after Gilmore left. That might be a January job, that one, depending on where Sheffield United are. The fact that they managed to keep the best players is really, really good. The only problem becomes that they've let so many players go and they've not brought enough in. They're still probably missing 5 players to pack squad out. And yeah, you can bring up players like Louis Marsh, Sam Curtis, Sadie Peck, but only Peck's good enough to be a squad player in Championship. Rest of them aren't. If they get a couple injuries to some of the better players or to any of the players in general, they're so light that the squad level is going to go from this to this really, really quickly. Which is why instead of it being a good transfer for him to keep all the best players, it's not even a you doing great. I'm sticking it in average because they really have not addressed the major problem, which is packing out the squad enough. They've still not done it. We're now heading north to Barnsley to look at Sheffield Wednesday's transfers. Ike Ugbo-in's quite good. Never heard of this guy. Jan Valerie, that's quite a good one as well. Max Lowe's shit. Charlie McNeil could be a good one, to be fair. And Beadle's a good keeper on loan again. Jay Charles is a good loan as well, to be honest with you. Sending kind of that, I can't even say his name, out on loan's good. Getting rid of Malik Wilkes is even better. Getting a fee for Bambo Diaby, something that we never managed to do because he was doping at us, so that's a shame. Again, lost quite a lot of the squaddies, and overall, the squad is still really, really shit, and that is a major problem. They're still playing Bannon every week, average. It's about as average as it gets, really. Next up, we've got Stoke. Can't speak. Sam Gallagher from Blackburn, I quite like, even if he just comes in as a squaddie. He is 28, a lot of experience, stuff like that. It's a good sign in that. Ben Gibson on a free from Norwich is good. Ashley Phillips on a loan's really, really good. So is Moran from Brighton, to be honest. So is Tom Cannon. So is Lewis Kumas. All 4 of the loans are top draw. Seriously, they're really, really good. But the best signing by an absolute mile is Victor Johnson from Rotherham. Because if he wouldn't have been at Rotherham and they've had somebody else, say Stoke and Rotherham had swapped keepers last season, Rotherham had conceded 200 goals. And that even isn't an exaggeration. They conceded so many goals every single week that I watched them. And he was still the best player constantly. I've never seen a squad look that shitty Championship, seriously. And I've watched us so many times. Their outgoings, I don't actually think they're missing a great deal, to be honest. Like, Tyrese Campbell they could have maybe kept him. Josh Lauren's gone to Burnley. I don't know what the fee is there. That'll be a little bit of a miss. Overall, I think that's a good window for Stoke. I'm sticking him in. You're doing great. Suleiman! No idea about any of these fellas. Pervader on a free is a really good in. So is Alan Brown from Preston, really good ins. They're 2 players that last season at their respective clubs were 2 of the best players. I mean, Alan Brown's Preston's best player by an absolute mile. But Pervader at Wednesday were really, really good. I'm surprised that Leeds didn't keep him, to be honest with you. Unless Sunderland can offer more money. I don't know what finances are looking like Leeds versus Sunderland these days. You'd imagine that Leeds have still got more Red Bull-wise. Oh, Red Bull Leeds, should I say. But them 2 frees are really, really good. The worst thing, obviously, is that they lost Jack Clark. and they've only got, I'm sure it's 15, 16 million quid that they got for him altogether. I think that's including add-ons, that figure that we're looking at there. After Somerville are gone, this is probably one of the best players in Championship that's still only 23, that's got a lot of experience now at Tottenham and Leeds. He's got experience at Premier League. He's got experience in different environments, different teams, different leagues. To lose him, just a pure output machine, and how good he actually is on eye, for that cheap, I think they've made a bit of a boo-boo. English tax as well. I do think they could have got more money out of Ipswich for that, definitely. They could have pushed that to like 25 at least. I think it's a joke that they've not got that much for him, which is why I'm going to stick them in bang average and not any high. Because I do like their incomings, the ones that I know of, especially the threes. But to lose a player of that calibre for that much is a bit silly from the Black Cats. Swansea, I mean, this just screams bang average already, doesn't it? To be honest, it just sums Swansea up. This is a good loan from Brentford. I quite like that one. Lost Liam Walsh on a free to Luton. Lost Jerry Yates on a free to Derby. Lost Nathan Wood, centre out to Southampton. That's been coming though. Nathan Wood looks like he's been out to do it for ages now. There's been a lot of teams sniffing around him for a couple of years. Overall, I think that's balls, to be honest. Obviously, I can't talk about these fellas, so maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But I feel like they've lost a lot of squad players there that are getting game time for a lot of other Championship teams that are better than Swansea, like Luton, maybe like Oxford. So maybe they've dropped a bit of a bollock there. Yeah, I think that's balls. And moving on, we're looking at Watford. The major things with Watford this transfer window and their outgoings, obviously they've got 30 million combined, or 30 million euros combined for Asprilla and Kone, which there's a lot of potential there, but I think they've got good fees for them. In all honesty, I do think they're quite good sales. And then their incomings, I don't know who these people are. Ogbono on a free to from West Ham is actually quite good. And Moussa Sissoko's back. Is he? Or has he gone out again? Is it? Watford are one of them because they're pals with Udinese, aren't they? So they've got loads of like dodgy stuff going on all the time. So I never know what's going on. And with Calcio, what am I on about? It's Udinese Calcio. Forget, I'm editing that one out. Am I? Leave it in. Jebison on loan from Bournemouth, who's just gone from Sheffield United. Again, there's a lot of moving parts in some of these transfers. It's quite a good one. But overall, I think it's bang average. They've got some really good sales, but they spent none of it. So I can't really say that it's a really good window when they've done the exact same thing as Leeds, effectively, but just to a much lesser scale. And what am I doing? They're balls. They've let some really good players go and spent no money. That's a balls window. Anyway, last but definitely not least, we've got them baggy boys. Callum Styles from Barnsley is hilarious. Thank you for taking him off us. We got paid money for that. Oh my god. Devante Cole, even funnier. The major signing here is Mikey Johnson from Celtic, because as soon as they knew that he'd potentially be coming back to Championship, because there were Sheffield United and someone else, I forgot who it was, it might have been Luton, so two teams like that were looking at him, and as soon as West Brom came in for him, it was that his decision was made up. Really, really good when he was on loan at the last season, which I'm not surprised because they've got Carlos as manager, which is the major thing with this transfer window. They've managed to keep the biggest asset in Carlos. So it's instantly bang average at least. And then when you look at their outgoings, I think they got a good fee for Thomas Asante. Connor Townsend, I think they got a good fee for Thomas Asante. I think they got a good fee for Connor Townsend, to be honest, because he really just isn't that good. Got a lot of wages off at bills. A lot of the older boys have gone as well. Like, look at the ages of these. 29, 33, 34, 27, 31, 30. They've got let a lot of older boys go. And it would be you're doing great because they've kept Carlos. But the fact that they paid money for Callum Styles and also took Devante Cole off us and are probably paying them 20 grand a week each, something like that. Bang average, unfortunately, boys. But that's that. That is where we're at. We've got Leeds and Luton as honking pooners, Burnley, Hull, Norwich, Preston, Swansea and Watford as balls. Blackburn, Coventry, QPR, both Sheffields, well, 1.5 Sheffields in average with Sunderland and West Brom. And Bristol City, Cardiff, Derby, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Plymouth, Portsmouth and Stoke having good windows. But the best one in this league so far, well, not so far, the best one in this league is Oxford for me by some distance as well. Thank you all for watching, boys. I will probably do this for League One as well if I can be bothered. There's a lot going on all over leagues. And my predictions have massively changed because the team's spending and not spending, like Luton. But thank you all for watching, boys. Love you, and I'll see you in a bit. No, you beds today.